Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If this is your first time, welcome, 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 welcome. Today we're going to be talking about I, Tonya. But before we do that, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you want to get more of my movie reviews. Also like this video if you really liked it, and then make sure to hit the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I upload new content. I, Tonya, it stars Margot Robbie as Tonya Harding, Allison Janney as her mom, Paul Walter Hauser, and also Sebastian Stan. And it is about the life of Tonya Harding, really for the most part. And then the last half of the movie is pretty much dedicated to the incident. If you do not know what the incident is, maybe you have been living under a rock since the early 90s. But essentially what happened is Tonya Harding, she's one of the best figure skaters in the world. So in an effort to get Nancy Kerrigan out of the way and give Tonya Harding a guaranteed spot on the U.S. figure skating Olympic team, someone assaults Nancy Kerrigan at one of her practices, hits her in her kneecap, and breaks her knee. So that was an infamous incident that captured the attention of everyone during that time. And so this movie, like I said, the first half really focuses on Tonya Harding's life, and then the last half focuses on the incident. And I think that is done because it is all from Tonya Harding's point of view. There is so little of Nancy Kerrigan. I don't even think the person who played Nancy Kerrigan even had lines. It is about the point of view from Tonya Harding's side of things. So it followed her through her life, and I think that it really had to start very early and go through what her life was like, what the people around her were like, in order to sort of explain how everything came to be that the attack happened on Nancy Kerrigan. When it comes to spoilers about historical events, I mean, these things happened. So if you know anything about it, none of the movie is going to be spoiled for you. So I'm going to talk about things that happened in the beginning and in the middle of this movie because they happened in real life. So if you consider facts spoilers, then maybe you can go ahead and click away and then maybe come back after you've seen the movie, or after you've done just a little bit of internet research. Then you can come back and then have this conversation with us. Kind of regarding the storytelling aspect of it, like I said, it's from Tonya Harding's point of view. So it's very much about her life. This movie was kind of meta in the way that it's set up. It was like, there were times where they use the term break the fourth wall. So where the characters in the film look directly in the camera and address the audience, which is interesting for a film that's based on real people, that those people in the moment that things are happening to them are then speaking to an audience that is going to be watching a movie about their life, years from that moment. It's kind of meta, I think. So, timeline wise, it was pretty straightforward, beginning with her childhood, going all the way through to the culmination of the investigation. But the way that they told that story, they kind of did it in separate ways. So part of it would be, of course, them acting out parts of it. Then another part of it was taking interviews that was made with Tonya Harding, with her mother, with her ex-husband, with the friend that was involved, and having the actors do those interviews. And so they put those in as well. And then also like the parts that I said, the meta kind of addressing the audience parts during the film. These are some of the aspects and features of this movie that kind of help to break it up a little bit, help to keep it a little bit interesting, I think, so that it's not just like I said, just straightforward, just the facts, ma'am kind of situation. It just kind of made it a little more interesting, did it in a little more creative sort of way. And I think another aspect to this is something that is so true in real life. I think everybody thinks that the truth is the truth, but really the truth is that there are as many sides to a story as there are people there to tell it. So you will have some things so this movie, like I said, is from Tonya Harding's point of view, but actually it's from like Tonya Harding's side of things, so her family and the people involved in that. So you get Tonya's perspective, you get Tonya's mom's perspective, you get the ex-husband's perspective, and sometimes those things match, but then there are times where their accounts don't quite match up. So at the end of it, you're kind of feeling like maybe you've got the whole picture, but because there are some little discrepancies here and there, it is hard to know really who you can trust 100%. what the actually whole story is. It's like you got like 80% of it, and the other 20% is still a little fuzzy because you're not really sure exactly what happened or who you can trust. Let's see, another point of filmmaking that I thought was really interesting was the shots that they did on the ice during the ice skating portions of it. So Tonya Harding was a beast on the ice. One thing that was a feature of her performance is her athleticism. I'm sure Margot Robbie is a very competent ice skater. I'm pretty sure she is not at Tonya Harding level, but there definitely was some things that they used to when they shot these scenes that I thought were really interesting. So, for instance, the way that they shot it, it just kind of flowed. So it was like you would have the ice skater here, and then the camera would be right in front of it, and then as the skater moved, the camera would kind of move along with it, so it feels like you're right there in front of them, moving along with them, seeing the background move behind the person, and it just kind of flowed. And then sometimes they would break away, and then they would check out all the people who were on the sidelines, and it just, those scenes just really flowed as you would imagine it would flow, like an ice skater kind of skates around the ice in a very graceful kind of way. That's kind of how those scenes were shot. So now a bit about like the history of this. I think one thing that I learned through this film that I wasn't quite aware of was just how poor Tonya Harding was. Just her whole life, and through the time when she was super famous and performing at the Olympics. And it's, to me, it feels crazy, like you're a person who is operating at the top of your game. You are one of the best in the world to do what you do. You go to the Olympics on this huge, enormous stage, and then you go home and you still got to wait tables, and you still got to worry about how you're going to pay the bills, how you're going to bickering over how much, groceries cost. Even though you were like the best, most famous, one of the most famous figure skaters in the world, you still aren't making any money. To me, I felt like that must have been such like a mind trip, that you work so hard, and that's really all she did for the most part, was just skate hours and hours and hours a day, perfecting her craft, going through all these competitions, and all this stuff costs money. It costs money to train. It costs money for coaches. It costs money to go to competitions, to go to the Olympics, and no money is coming your way. And I think a lot of people don't understand that unless you're playing on like a team sport professionally, like football or basketball or something like that, you're not getting paid to play. You're actually paying to be a part of it, and that there are other ways to make money. So you can, the most popular ways and the most lucrative way is to get endorsements with a product or a service. So you can be like on a Wheaties box or Gatorade spokesperson, yogurt, whatever, Buick, any kind of company that wants to use a sports person for their face. That is a great way to make money. Charging for speaking engagements, maybe doing some coaching, like that kind of stuff, being paid to make appearances, you can make money off of that. But it just kind of made it seem like Tonya Harding was not the kind of person, although she was very adept at what she did, that she wasn't the kind of person that had access to that kind of stuff. Reason for that is, and this is one of the other things that the movie did very beautifully in explaining, is the nature of figure skating competition. That it's not just about how good you are technically, athletically. A good chunk of that is this image that the figure skating community wants its skaters to portray. And that it's almost kind of like, for the women at least, like a debutante type style that they're looking for. They want people who are refined. They want girls and ladies who act like ladies. They, expensive outfits, smiling and waving. And that's the kind of person they want. And Tonya Harding was not that person. And so I think because of that, it was hard for her, and the movie shows this, it's hard for her to break through, to get the due, because she was a very talented, very athletic skater. She broke ground that hadn't been broken before in women's figure skating, and despite that, she was often held back because she wasn't that image, that girl, beautiful, nice girl next door kind of image. Another example of this, a friend of mine brought this to my attention while we were discussing this film, and there was another skater that came not to close behind Tonya Harding, and that is Surya Bonali. She was another skater that faced a lot of, that did really record-breaking things, but faced a lot of the same challenges that Tonya Harding faced, mostly because this skater was black and she faced some racism. So I'm going to put a link below to the video that my friend shared with me so you can also see that. But that was kind of like right around the same vein as what the issues that people had with Tonya Harding. Another thing that I noted when I was watching this film is that, man, there is nothing worse than a dumb person who thinks they are a genius mastermind. It is the worst. If you have somebody like that in your life, you need to stay as far away from that person as you can, because they are going to get you in some shit at one point or another. It is inevitable. You need to stay away. Yeah, there was a guy like this in Tonya Harding's life who thought he was, you know, planning and plotting and one step ahead of everything, and really he was just very dumb, and he ended up getting everybody in trouble. Overall, I think that this movie was pretty awesome. I think this was a good watch. It's one of those things where it was this huge world event that kind of happened like in the background of my life that I kind of knew about, but that I didn't really get into all the specifics about. And so it was nice to have it all laid out and explained to me in a very like condensed, concrete sort of way. Margot Robbie was really great. Allison Janney was amazing, and she won a Golden Globe. I would not be surprised if she gets nominated and wins an Oscar for this. Like I said, Margot Robbie was also fantastic, and I would anticipate that she would get an Oscar nomination for this performance. You know, as it is every year, the Best Actor category is a very tough category. So I'm not quite sure right now if she would actually stand to win an Oscar, but I have to kind of go over that with all, you know, who all the competition is before I like make a prediction. But I think that she will show up in the category, absolutely. So this movie was really good. It is definitely worth a watch if you want to get some answers. One interesting, so the friend that I was talking about was about Surya Bonali with, she asked me at the end of our conversation after I explained the movie to her, she says, well, do you believe her? Like, do I believe Tonya Harding's account? I like to think that I did, but then when she asked me very pointedly, I kind of had to like actually stop and kind of question myself, like, do I actually believe her and what she said? And that's a tough one. I think that there were a lot of truths. I think there were a lot of punches that were held, because I think nobody wants to be seen as a bad person. Once you establish a narrative, in this case her defense, you don't want to deviate from that and possibly say something that would be incriminating. So, you know, so do I believe all of it? I would say about 80%. Yeah, I do. There probably is about 20% of it where I'm like, I'm not sure whether it's factual, it's not factual. End of the day, the movie was very entertaining. It was something that happened a long time ago that many of the people involved with are happy to lay to rest. But like I said, the movie itself was very interesting to watch. It filled in a lot of gaps of my knowledge about this event, about this incident. And I definitely appreciate it. I very much enjoyed it. And I would recommend anybody out there to go see it. One of the other things before I end this review, I have to say that the violence in this movie is quite realistic, pretty raw. There was a lot of domestic violence that went down with Tonya Harding and her ex-husband. There was a lot of violence from the mom against Tonya Harding, just as she was younger and through her growing up. So there's a lot of this domestic violence aspect of it that is really raw. So if you're a person that's like triggered by stuff like this, you might not want to go see it. So just a warning out there for anybody like that, that it's that the violence in it pops up a lot. Besides that, I think it was an excellent movie. I think it was great. And I would recommend anybody out there to go see it. I, Tonya. My thumbs up of approval for that one. So that is it for my review of I, Tonya. If you like this review, please give me a like. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and then hit the notification bell so you know when more reviews are going to be coming your way. I appreciate you hanging out for this one, and I will see you on the next one.